Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you just a list of brainstormed ideas that I have to help liven up your home, your family, or your homeschool. A lot of them could be implemented this summer, but a lot of them could also be implemented anytime during your regular school year. Now, I'm going to start and preface with one. It is super humid here, so I've got my hat. And two, it is cicada country here, and so I apologize if you guys can hear the loud humming that I hear just outside my window. So just wanted to start off with that and apologize for that. But let's go ahead and get started. If your family is anything like mine, your summer probably looks a lot like sprinklers and pools and parks and maybe a workbook or a book thrown in here or there to kind of maintain their school skills and not lose anything over the summer. But after you get like midway through the summer, your kids are like, do we have to go to the pool again? You know, even though it's a great pool, they get to see their friends. They've just kind of, it's lost its luster and they don't really want to go, even though it's a great outing and they always have fun when they're there. So I was just thinking maybe everyone just needs a little bit of encouragement to add something up to their normal routine. Instead of going to the pool one day out of the week, maybe think of some activity, some outing that you and your family maybe get together with a few other homeschool groups or families. You could totally do it by yourself. You could do it with other people, but just something to add into the mix. You know, maybe just 5 times out of the summer, choose 5 activities that you could do to help liven up and add a little bit of variety to your summer schedule. A lot of times we all need a little bit of encouragement to like step out and do something that's different, to seek out, because a lot of times it's work, right? We have to actually take the time, do a little research, and find something new that's within a reasonable distance of where we live. And you know, I have recently kind of gotten into this idea of like, let's find something new. We've done all of the regular things. Let's find something new. And a lot of times when I just do a little search, or I talk to some friends, or I do, you know, talk to a couple people in a homeschool group, I'm usually shocked at what is within a reasonable distance of my house and things that are just like hidden right under my nose that I didn't even know existed that are really close to me. You know, sometimes too, we have rainy days. You have rainy or mundane days where you're just like, oh, I just don't feel like going to the pool. We're not going to the pool. I don't feel like packing all the lunches, getting all the towels, sunscreen, everything together. But maybe they're a little, you know, it is rainy and you don't want to keep them cooped up and you want to go and look for something that's new and different. So I just want to encourage you to maybe just like 3 to 5 things. Just think and plan out 3 to 5 days, 3 to 5 activities that are within a day for a day trip. So a lot of times that might require you to drive a little bit further. Sometimes we've driven an hour and a half to 2 hours away, done an activity all day, and then driven home for the day. We've actually sometimes made it an overnight family trip where we've gone and done something that was like 3 or 4 hours away, stayed the night in a hotel, and driven home the next day. You know, that may not be something that's in your budget or something that you're able to do, which is totally fine. Just make your search area and criteria a little bit closer to home. If it is in your budget, then open up that area a little bit. You know, a lot of times we try to plan, you know, 2 to 3 just little one-nighter trips with our family just to go see something and do something that, you know, it may not make it to like an entire vacation trip, right? You're not going to just travel 3 hours away, maybe not to go to on a vacation. So this place isn't ever going to make one of your top destination choices for a vacation, but maybe it would be a really great destination for a one-nighter. And so you just go there for the day and then you stay in the night in a hotel and you come home the next day. So just kind of thinking of some ideas to just add a little bit of variety to our summer and give our kids some adventure and allow them to make a lot of great memories with your family. So if you're trying to think of different ways to find these things, you know, like where do I even begin to search? Number 1, Google. I do a lot of the search on Google, and a lot of times I will even transition that into Google Maps, where, you know, they have like these little ribbons that pop up of like all these popular places to go. And honestly, we've found a lot of really great places that we didn't even know existed that were within 30 minutes of us. And we've have since visited since finding them. So I think a lot of times like these little hidden gems are just hidden all around, local or cities that are nearby you that you can utilize. They can be educational, they can be fun, they can be a little bit of both. But a lot of times we just don't even know that they exist and we are not taking advantage of them. So again, Google and like Google Maps would be number one. And then relying on like Facebook groups that are homeschool groups. So go in and just type in and ask someone, like, what are some great day trips from, around this city or around this city? And I've seen lots of things pop up when people are just asking. People are more than happy to share the different places that they've been, so that other people can take advantage of them as well. As always, ask friends, even if they're not homeschooling, a lot of friends are still gonna, they take their kids places and go and enjoy different things. So you can always ask friends of great just day trip places that you could go, something new that, I'm looking for something new. Do you have any suggestions? And that kind of brings it to the point too that maybe you only can think of one, but maybe this is something that you would like to do with other homeschooling families or other families that you're friends with who don't homeschool, but they've got the summer off. So, if you want to do 5 random new things with your family, find 4 other families and say, okay, these are the dates that I want to plan something. Would you plan one? Would you plan one? Would you? And you each take one, and you're going to introduce all of these families to 5 new places, but you only have to plan one of them. And a lot of times if there are fees for going to these places, you get a reduced fee if you can have a larger group. So that is another added bonus, that if you can get a big group to go, you might be able to offset some of the fees by having a larger group. All right, guys, so now I'm just gonna share with you a list. This is gonna get your juices flowing. This is gonna help you get a little creative. So go grab a notepad, grab a pen, and jot some of these ideas down and see if you can't find something similar in your area to what we have. So first thing, we have a classic car museum. It's just held by just a couple of friends. They've got a ton of classic cars here. Again, we study cars, right? We're into cars right now. Yay. But we found that it was just some car enthusiasts who had made their own personal collection. It was free, but you just had to schedule a tour. They would go down, they would tell you about all the cars, play some games with them, even sent the kids home with a souvenir. I mean, we're talking like 2 feet high old car trophies. You can tell I was super excited about that, right? But it was a super fun little outing, and my kids loved it. It was super impromptu. Happened to find it on Google Maps. So the other thing is there's a military museum that's 20 minutes away from us. And I'm telling you, this military museum set up by a family, it is top notch. They have collected memorabilia from all of these different wars. You walk through, I mean, it was fantastic, and it was very minimally priced. I want to say like $5 to $10 depending on kid or adult, but it was well worth the money. They had helicopters and old tanks. They had a Higgins boat. Like, there's very few Higgins boats left from World War II, and they have one of like the remaining like 6 or 8 or something like that. So it was really, really cool. They even had some stuff left over from 9/11. They had some sort of connection to someone who a fire department that was involved with 9/11. So they had stuff from 9/11. So super cool. Again, had no idea that this existed, let alone 20 to 30 minutes away from us. Every time I drive, I always see this big billboard sign that there is a barber museum. So you will probably find all these like unusual signs, and a lot of times we make my kids do those like, really weird roadside attractions. And a lot of times my kids still talk about when we stopped at like this tiny town with like large things. I think it was Casey, Illinois. And my kids still talk about it to this day, that like, remember when we stopped and saw this really big rocking chair in the big mailbox? So like this barber museum, it's made my list. We haven't gone yet, but it's just like, it's another thing. Like if I needed something to do, it would be like a fun little trip and something funny to talk about when they got older, where they'd probably tease me about it. And I also know that there are lots of different presidential homes all over the U.S. Like they're always signified as like a national historical site, where this certain president grew up here and this certain president grew up here. And you could always go and take a tour or visit the grounds of these presidential homes. A lot of times there are also factories that you can go and take a tour. You might have to set them up. Some of them might have recurring times where they're just always set. You might just have to call and find out, but we've taken tours of food factories. We've done a chocolate factory. We've done a popcorn factory. We have taken tours of different, like where they make things. There is one for whistles. There is one for baseball bats. We have done, what else did we do? I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that's it. But the baseball bats and the whistles. So there are lots of like factories that you could potentially tour. We have done glass blowing classes. We have done team building, and my kids were too young for it, but they had a high ropes course there if they had been a little older. So there was like this team building event where you could go to this area, and they did lots of different activities that were team building. And if my kids are older and we want to go back, they have this high ropes course. So that's always fun. But they have in a different location, here's another idea, zip lining. They loved the zip lining. Of course, there's always canoeing and kayaking and fishing that you can do, finding a local area where you can do that. My kids were a little leery in the beginning, but now they love to go canoeing and kayaking. So we can always add that one as just a fun adventure day in the middle of the summer. So here are some just other things coming off my list. There are castles. So we have visited a castle in our state. We had to drive maybe an hour, hour and a half to get there. Totally worth it though. My kids loved it and had fun. There are caves and caverns that you can visit and take tours of. There are farms, even like living and working farms. A lot of times they will give you a tour of the living and working farm, show you how they're doing the things with the animals and all of their equipment. There are Indian mounds, so you could take and go to an Indian mound. There are lots of traveling festivals too, so a lot of times you have to do a regular search and see what kind of events may be coming to your town. We've done the Renaissance Festival before, and my kids loved that. There are rodeos and car shows. Yes, we've been to the car shows. We have not made it to a rodeo yet, but that's on my list. I think that would be kind of fun to see. But we've been to car races and car shows, like just looking up local events, see what's traveling through your state. Those are always awesome opportunities. Just again, add something new and a new experience for your kids to be able to enjoy. You can always go on a bike ride. Go and find your local bike path. And, you know, a lot of cities and towns will have bike paths that connect in different areas. You can go on a bike ride. A lot of places will have science centers. There's always the library, the summer reading programs, your local and state parks, even national parks. Maybe you live in a state that has a lot of great national parks. Unfortunately, we don't here in Ohio. We have one. And it is fun, but it may not top out as cool as, like, you know, the Grand Canyon kind of thing. We have zoos, water parks, and splash pads, aviaries, art museums, or just any museum in general could be like a good rainy day, you know, something to change the routine. Botanical gardens, jump and trampoline parks. I mentioned zip lines earlier. Aquariums, outdoor. I have some kids who are not listening right now, and they're fighting. That's fun. Little dose of reality for you if you think it's all rainbows and bunnies over here. We have outdoor dramas that you can go to. We have not yet been there with my kids. That's on the list. But they also have like Armed Forces Museum. You can go to like an Air Force museum. There are nature preserves and animal sanctuaries that you can go. We've done that when we were really obsessed with birds. And my kids got to see lots of different raptors and things, so that was really cool. And also like sports arenas. You can go and take tours of different sports arenas if your kids are particularly interested in, you know, we all tend to favor our home state and our home team, but they oftentimes have tours where you can sign up and go and maybe walk down on the court or the field. We did that when we went to the Daytona Motor Speedway. We were able to take a tour through the racetrack and everything. So those are always options as well. Some different ideas are just like a driving tour. Have you ever just like taken your kids out and just gone driving and see what you can see? A lot of times we've done that. We have done there was a driving trail that took you through to see lots of old time covered bridges. And so we drove this road trail where we took our kids to see all these different bridges. So maybe you don't have any of those options available to you. They're not within driving distance. And so you need to come up with something different. So a different idea is to actually create something for your kids, and it would be like a scavenger hunt. So you will know your area best. So you know maybe where some unusual things are hidden. And this is like, you're going to be doing it with your kids, but your kids are going to kind of be dictating where you go and what you do. So you've got maybe like a list of different things that they need to find. Maybe one is like a railroad track, or maybe you have a certain statue of someone and it's a silly statue, or like, lots of places have statues of cows or horses, and maybe you need to get your picture taken with a horse, or, or maybe it's an animal, or, whatever it is, a certain restaurant or some gem that's hidden in your area that you're kind of testing your kids' knowledge, like, where could we go to get this? And you kind of just follow the directions of your child, where they're telling you to go, because they're looking at the scavenger list. They're like, okay, we need to go this way. We need to go here. And then everywhere you go to check off one of those things on your scavenger list, whatever you've made it to be, you take a picture of your kid or all of your family with this one particular thing that it was. So if it was a railroad, you kind of get out and you all take a selfie with the railroad. Obviously, make sure that no trains are on the train tracks, yada, 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 you know that. But you get my point. Like, you can create your own activity and some new fun thing that is kind of getting you out of this rut of doing the same thing every day throughout the summer. And honestly, that's what this list was about, is creating memories, having fun with your family, going and doing something unusual. Like, family time is like the best thing, and time is a limited resource. We only have so much of it. So finding new things to do with our kids that will give you really great memories, that's the best thing, right? So that's it. Like, I would love to hear your guys' ideas. Like, what would you add to this list? I know that I took some very general things that are like in my area, but like, I haven't thought of all of them. So if you have done some of these things, drop them below. I'd love to hear about it. If you have something new to add that I didn't mention, drop it below too, because I know a lot of people really benefit from the ideas of others. And guys, just remember, like, it doesn't have to be anything super or fancy. A lot of times our the plans that mess up or like were fails end up being the funniest stories later. And it doesn't have to be something that costs a lot of money either. You can go to a theme park. We've got lots of theme parks in Ohio, and those are fun. But you can also drive to some local park or state park that's free, and you don't have to, you can pack your lunch, and you don't have to make it, a really expensive excursion. It can still be, a lot of fun without expending a lot of money. But on the reverse, don't be afraid to drive an hour or two. A lot of times we see, oh, it's like 2 hours away. Well, if you get up and you leave at 8, you can be there at 10, and you could be there from 10 to 4 and have still a really good chunk of time somewhere and have a 2-hour drive home. So I guess my advice would be, don't let a little distance, kind of eliminate it from the list. But give yourself the freedom to really branch out and find new things, new experiences, new adventures for your family. So as always, guys, drop any questions or comments below. I would love to hear them. And until next time, guys, have a blessed day.